As dads, let's face it, the only place that we talk about performance is the bedroom. Now, there's nothing wrong with talking about performance in the bedroom. It's an important place to have peak performance. But to continue off and piggyback on our conversation yesterday, why don't we talk about performance as a dad? Why do we generalize this idea, the ability to measure it, the ability to subjectively say, you know what, today I was not a good dad. Today I did not perform my best. My kids deserve my best. So why do I not work and create language to perform better on the field of being a dad? We talk about it in the bedroom. We talk about our performance at work. We literally get evaluated either monthly, either on a 90-day basis or a yearly basis of how well you are performing at work. But how well are you performing as a dad? When is the last time that you objectively looked at your dad life? The relationships with your kids, the relationship to your family, the relationship to your parents, the relationship to your wife. Not in that particular order, though. But really, just evaluating all of these areas to understand how well you are performing. Because these are the areas that matter most. That part is almost inexplicably unarguable. The family is more important than all the other things that we look for our performance. But why do we not give ourselves that hard look? Why do we not do a performance evaluation with our kids? Why do we not let them perform and evaluate us and say, Dad, you're not doing a good enough job in this area. Dad, I really would like to see you get more out of this area. Why don't we go into that more? Why are we afraid to have bold conversations with our teenagers or our preteens or even our toddlers? Because there's questions that you can ask every one of these age ranges that allows you to access how well you are performing on the field of being a dad. Partially, we've been set up for failure. We don't even think about this because we think the only place that we need to perform is to provide. And we think of our performance as a dad directly correlated to our performance to provide. How much are we performing and bringing home the bacon? Do we make $200,000 a year? There's a group of dads out there that will say, you know what? I am performing well enough. I am doing everything that I am supposed to. But there are so many layers to that. It's like only measuring a shipping department on on-time delivery. Now, that's an important metric, but how well is it packed? Does stuff get there on time? Does stuff get there in one piece? Is the shipping methods correct? There are 1,000 other areas to get a box out the door at work that we measure performance on. We have KPIs at work that measure revenue, that measure cash flow. We have all these other indicators to tell us when things are red, to literally tell us, you know what, your account went negative. You need to worry about your cash flow right now. You can't pay the bills. But in reality, as a dad, there are a few moments where you actually would get that negative indicator and like, you know what, we can't go anymore. Oftentimes, this can result in when your daughter comes home and she says she's pregnant, or when your son comes home and he says, Dad, I got this girl pregnant. Those are the KPIs when you realize, like, you know what? I missed a whole bunch of conversations, a whole bunch of leadership that I could have done. Now, I'm not saying it's 100% a dad's fault that those things can happen, and it's not 100% in a dad's ability to prevent that. But those are the wake-up calls. That's what I want you to realize. It's, oh, we're getting a divorced. You know what? I really didn't prioritize and check my performance on my relationships in my family, in my house, to understand how they are moving forward. It's in those moments, even at worst case scenarios, maybe when your kid breaks the law and goes to jail. It's those moments you realize I was not performing as a dad. There are few do-overs as a dad. Every day that you aren't there is gone. Your kids are physically getting older every single day, and there are multiple times where that will be the last time that ever happens, and you'll never know until it's gone. Now, there is always an opportunity to have a relationship with your kids. No matter whether they're 30 or 40, there may be some things to work through, but kids always want to have a relationship with their dad. but not if you're being immature, not if you're not being supportive, not saying if you're not showing up and there's still a cancer in their life versus someone that actually wants to help them, actually wants to make them better, and actually wants to know who they are. But I circle back to my original question. How well are you performing as a dad? This question leads into yesterday's question. What is a dad coach? A coach of dads helps increase the performance on the field of life to make sure that you do not miss the mark, that you invest everything that you got to make sure you can hit those targets. A company that executes flawlessly can still miss the KPI. There are still outstanding circumstances outside the world that influence what happens, just like there are outstanding influences in your kids' lives that may make them go down a different path than you wanted, even when you execute flawlessly. But the question, and you have to accept, is, did you try everything you could? I think a question, if I was to go bankrupt today, a question that would haunt me for the next probably 5 years would be, did I try everything? You know what? There was that one day where I made a decision, and that could have been the decision that changed everything. It was kind of like a fork in the road, but I didn't really realize it was a fork in the road. I didn't have enough perspective in my life to realize that fork in the road moment to understand where I'm going. I've ranted a little bit longer because I want you guys to challenge and understand, what are you waiting for? How long are you going to not perform well as a dad, or even understand what performing well as a dad could be? A lot of dads don't even have the words, the definitions, the thinking, the questions to frame and ask how well they're being a dad. All they see is the actions, or maybe what they're not getting out of being a dad. They don't really see what could be when it comes to being a dad. Guys, that is all I have for you today. Think long and hard about this question. How well you are performing. I am Ben Cloy, and I bring 5 days a week daily dad advice to help you take those small little steps every single day to be the dad that you know you can be. If you want help in becoming a better dad, increasing your performance on the field of life as a dad, head on over to bencloy.com. Upper right-hand corner, there is a blue button to schedule a call with me. Free of charge, have a conversation, see what you could potentially leave as your legacy versus your legacy that you're intended to leave if you do nothing. As always, we'll talk soon.